Welcome back. You're watching Morning Express. Good morning from wherever you're tuning in from. My name is Jesse Rogers. We continue with the deliberations centered on the news making headlines. What you can expect in today's edition of the dailies, the Daily Nation and the Standard. And we continue with the deliberations with my panel. Joining me in studio, Professor Mohammed Elmi, who's a governance expert, and Michael Agwanda, political and governance analyst, just interrogating some of these headlines. And perhaps, gentlemen, let's talk politics now. A lot has happened over the weekend in terms of these political campaigns. The One Kenya Alliance chiefs sort of rebutting those earlier claims that they're being courted. Kalonzo Musyoka asking, courted by who exactly? One Kenya Alliance will remain united till 2022. That's according to them. Ruto, similarly, in his forays in central Kenya, sort of threw water to, or caution to the wind in terms of fake opinion polls. And he mentioned they will not be swayed by those polls that are being released recently. And he also mentioned he'll win the State House race in the first round. A lot more covered in today's dailies. But let's talk politics, Agwanda. And just recently, Raila Odinga was in Western Kenya, and this is the battleground. On one side, One Kenya Alliance principles definitely pushing for a united vote to push their own Musalia Mudavadi to the ballot come 2022. But Raila Odinga is persistent, and this is a region that has voted for him historically time and time again. What say you, even as we're informed by the Daily Nation, that they're demanding to be Raila Odinga's running mate. They're demanding for that slot come 2022. Interesting.
Just see, politics changes, and it changes in a day in politics is, it's equivalent to years in politics. It's just about 3 weeks ago when we were in the same studio, and Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka had extended an olive branch to other people to come and work with them. And he said he will not have a problem working with the other people. Yesterday, he said he is not going somewhere else. He wants those that want to partner with them to join them. Salam Davadi, on the other hand, has been on the front line, saying that, and lately, as you've seen, a number of his supporters, members of parliament that are running, his campaign, are saying he's going for it. And if he doesn't, if OKA does not agree to give him the opportunity to lead OKA per se, then he's going to go it alone. And so you can see that there's already a division of opinion within the OKA. One partner saying, if you don't give it to me, I am going a full hog and I'm going alone. And I think that's what Honorable Malala and a number of some of his supporters have been at the forefront saying. But Honorable Gideon Moi has kind of been a part of OKA, but with no demands and no ultimatum, as we've seen in the last, campaigns that they've been having around here. That means that he could possibly work with anybody whomsoever he decides to support for the presidency, whether it is Musalia Mudavadi, whether it is Honorable Raila Odinga. It can go either way for him. But one thing that I am seeing that is so critical, I saw Honorable Raila Odinga was in Western over this weekend, and you can see that that is also the backbone of Honorable Musalia Mudavadi. The question that, and we also know that Honorable Wetangula came out very clearly and said that he wouldn't mind supporting Honorable Raila Odinga. And so you can see that things are changing. The other day we saw Honorable William Ruto coming out very strongly and saying, we need you now, come. But just about 2 weeks later on, he says, no, we don't need any alliance for now. And so you can see how flip-flopping some of these politicians are. And that really creates confusion, not only to their followers, but also to themselves. I think OKA needs to know that if they want to endear to the hearts of the people, then they have to traverse the entire country. That is what Honorable Raila Odinga has done, and that is what Honorable Ruto has done. They need not to walk as a pack, before they decide on who becomes the presidential flag bearer of OKA. If they continue working as a pack, and that means they're working together, nobody knows who's going to be their presidential aspirant. Already some of them are getting tired of that pack kind of mentality and are saying, we will go it alone. Now, what does that leave for them? It means that OKA is soon going to be disintegrated. OKA is soon going to have a number of people, and I think in the dailies over this weekend, we've seen a number of people, reaching out to them individually, and some of them, being promised to campaign money to be refunded back to them if they agree to join one team or the other. Yeah. Some of them being told that, their positions of chief ministers, we can restructure the government and give you position. Yeah. If they are waiting for it for too long, they might find themselves too late into the game. Because I have seen, of course, a discussion that I know we'll look at, Justin Muturi coming up and saying whether Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga should go home with President Uhuru Kenyatta or not. But what I am saying is OKA principles must know that there will only be one president. And that one president is in Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, who is going to be the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya. Now, if they want to join Honorable Somaya Ruto, then they need to know that there will be strong opposition. Okay. But if they join Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, then they better bargain for it now. If they wait for too long, their politicians and strong politicians are already creating alliances with Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, and those alliances, they will take the positions that are being dangled to them now. So they better make a decision now in the interest of their followers as well as in the interest of their candidature for 2022.
Interesting. Professor Elmi, as you add your voice to that, politics is all about strategy, and perhaps let's evaluate the strategy these politicians are using. On one side, we're seeing Raila Odinga's affiliation with governors, and at least he's using governors especially in terms of penetrating the Mount Kenya region. On the other side, 157 MPs definitely bowing support for the deputy president. Let's talk strategy. Which one is more efficient according to you? Using MPs or going directly to the people vis-a-vis using governors in order to sort of welcome you to the masses? And equally, expand that conversation, social protection policy vis-a-vis the bottom-up and the promises on these political stages. Make sense of all this.
Rogers, I think first, let's say Western province is a very strategic province. Strategic in that it has massive voters in terms of population. Secondly, it can tilt the voting system. So the other thing is that Raila Odinga has been campaigning on the ticket of Azimio la Umoja, meaning he wants to bring unity among the people. And if you look at the people who are supporting Raila at Western Province, these are the bigwigs at Wali, if you look, who has been selected recently to become the spokesperson of the Luo community, Governor Oparanya, and many other strong fellows. So there is also the OKA team, and Raila Omolo's team have been actually complementing one another. The common competitor is William Ruto. So from the look of things, at one point in time, this OKA and the Raila Omolo's team will merge. When is a question of strategy and how they are going to share the slots. The other thing is that you see these OKA fellows, this is not, Musalia Mudavadi has contested as a president. He knows the difficulties of covering this country. He knows the financial implication. He requires you must have the right not only money, but the right strategy, which I can see right now is lacking. But his strength can only be strengthened if he, with the OKA team, if they align themselves with the Raila Amolo Odinga, because that has been Raila has been a friendly force, and we from the past readings, the president has been encouraging the OKA fellows and the Raila group to merge, This is a strength for Raila. The issue of members of parliament versus the meeting the people, I think the Raila's strategy is superior to the one of Ruto. Because you see, most of these MPs may not even come back. These are fellows who have lost touch with the community. And the concentration of Ruto is essentially on Central Province. He has rarely been seen everywhere else other than Central Province and a little bit of Mount Kenya. So this tells you that he is banking on the base of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. And Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta has not given direction, but he has indicated where his tosha will be. The tosha of Uhuru, who is the president, is most likely to be on Raila. That in itself is massive gain for Raila. The other thing is that the bottom-up strategy, the economic strategy, is extremely not based on science. Giving young men wheelbarrows in this time and age of, scientific development may not be the right thing. But what is the right thing is that you can give them some little money that can cover their immediate needs. You see, the youth today, majority of them are unemployed. They are unemployed to the extent that they cannot afford, basic needs. Basic needs include, housing, feeding, even lunch is a problem. So if somebody gives you 6,000 shillings, 6,000 shillings that can keep you for at least a while you look for other things. So the strategy should be how to look for employment. And stipend is something that has been used by most of these developed countries. If you are out of job, the government must give you some little money to sustain you as you organize yourself and the government organizes themselves. So I think Raila's strategy has been meeting the people, and he has started with Northeastern Province, Northeastern and Eastern. He has started with Nyanza. He has gone to the coast. So he is meeting every province. Ruto's concentration is essentially Mount Kenya. He has even forgotten his base in Rift Valley. He rarely talks about issues that really catch the eye. The things that catch the eye today is corruption.
Okay, Professor. I think the message is definitely across, but I'd also beg to differ with you. Ruto has definitely been making inroads. I made 130 campaigns in just 30 days. You remember that headline? And it just wasn't in central Kenya, but they're definitely covering the country, perhaps showing how heated 2022 politics will be. Agwanda, speaking of 2022 politics, the front page of the Standard, as hinted earlier, sort of breaks down Speaker Muturi's tidbits of information in terms of his interactions with the head of state. And get this, he mentions the plan was that Raila would not seek to succeed the president, and which, if true, would mean that the ODM chief may be considering shelving his candidature in light of his December 9th announcement that is likely to confirm that he will be making his 5th stab at the presidency. Well, there's been a lot of talk on the last bullet, whether or not Raila is in the race. Do you think Speaker Muturi's tidbits of information will actually change? Because many have spoken that his family in the race and December 9th will only be a confirmation. Well, what's your take?
Well, I read that piece, and one of the things that's just in Muturi's speaker is talking about is his conversation with the president. I strongly believe that none of us were there during the handshake. And Speaker Muturi is actually saying that that was one of the conditions that they had when President Uhuru Kenyatta and Honorable Raila Odinga were doing the campaigns. That might have been true or not, because none of us were there to witness that. But I can tell you that if that was the reason why Justin Muturi's speaker decided to try his luck to run for president, then it was a wrong decision. I think if you want to run for president in this country, then you must first endear yourself to the people and present yourself as a candidate. To that extent, actions must be seen, not just words. And those actions mean traversing the country, just like Honorable William Ruto has been doing, traversing the country, just like Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga has been doing, and then people can see you as a formidable force and a possible presidential candidate. In 2022, as with what we've seen, yes, we know that in 2002 there was Kibaki torture that came from Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. In fact, it was posted to go to Honorable Nyachai, and Honorable Nyachai really got pissed off when finally Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga decided to endorse Kibaki. Now, as what we are seeing today in regards to 2022, I have no doubt in my mind that even if such discussions were made between Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta, that they will retire together, with the actions that we've seen lately and traversing the country and the campaigns that are going on, you will only be a fool not to see that Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga is going to be in the ballot box. If he said it, perhaps he changed his mind. He has a right to do that. And if he said it, perhaps he's decided that this is another momentous time for him to claim the presidency of this country. Remember that Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga has always neared, if anything, it is said that indeed he has won few elections in this country, but he's been denied the opportunity to be sworn in. Now, if this looks like an opportunity where he can win again and he can be sworn in, why wouldn't he run? We've seen so many statesmen and presidents in this world that are at the age of Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, and we've seen them come into the presidency of their nation. One good example is President Biden in the United States of America. So Raila might not be that tired as many people might think. And it might not be that this is a time that they think that he wants to retire. If he still has the strength to traverse the country and campaign, indeed he has the energy to run this country to the next level. As to the campaign levels, and of course from what my friend Professor here said, I think Honorable Ruto has traversed the entire country. Just more recently was in Nyanza, that he tried to avoid for all 4.5 years that he's been around trying to campaign. He's been in the course and he's been literally everywhere asking people to give him votes. As to the Western voting bloc, I can tell you today that Governor Oparanya is getting an age higher every single day. And if Honorable Musalia Mudavadi does not get his act together, he is soon getting replaced very quickly with Honorable Oparanya and Governor Oparanya. And by the way, that might not dent a lot of votes for Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga in Western. If Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga goes to the ballot box with Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, I can tell you more than 3/4 of Western Bloc are going to vote for Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. The question is it automatic? Absolutely not. Perhaps you need to work harder on it so that he can get that 75% to come back to him. Because there are sympathizers that will still give Honorable Musalia Mudavadi votes. But with Honorable Oparanya working hard for him and the other governors of Western province, the Greater Western province formerly, definitely they can deliver because they have been a very strong voting bloc for Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga.
Okay, Professor, add your voice to this particular article. We're looking at page 6 of the Standard on the Speaker's sentiments on how Uhuru and Raila were supposed to retire together. But equally, he's spoken about Uhuru's effort to sort of organize his succession. And of course, it was a big blow to the president in terms of the BBI taking a break due to the courts. And it's not just been that. The One Kenya Alliance meetings in State House with Raila Odinga. The big question would be, is Uhuru simply trying to manage his succession by bringing these two parties, these principles on one side and Raila Odinga on the other together? Well, what's your take as you're perusing through this particular article?
Roger, I think first Speaker Muturi is a presidential contender, as he said.
Yeah.
So the fact that what they discussed with the president is essentially was a private conversation. And in that private conversation, what we are seeing the president, how he is managing his succession is essentially currently based on the handshake. And the handshake is essentially the greatest beneficiary of the handshake. It will be none other than Raila Amolo Odinga. You have seen many times the president has called he's called the OKA fellows, told them that you guys, you must work towards uniting for one common purpose. And in private, I think from what we read in the paper, he has been very strong on asking the OKA fellows to support Raila Amolo Odinga. So I think Muturi's conversation, the conversation he alleged he had with the president has been overtaken by event. And the event that has overtaken is that the president's indication is that he wants to, although he has not said it publicly, but he has said more often than not that Nduguyake, and most of the time is Nduguyake Raila Amolo Odinga is a person that he wants him to succeed. He has also said he will not hand over this country to thieves. Whom is he referring to? So I think this conversation is essentially been overtaken by event. The other thing I want to talk about is about the poll. You know, one time there was, in the last general election during Kibaki's time, and not the last, the general election of during Kibaki's time, there was one time that Kilonzo was leading in polls for a very, very long time at the beginning. And then later on, the polls started dwindling when other players came in. You know, Ruto has been campaigning before anybody else. And in the process, there were no competitors. Now that Okoa, Raila, everybody else has joined in, then the Wananchi have a choice now. They say, really, whom do we choose among these other contenders? And I think from the polls that are available, Raila seems to be gaining some much more, is gaining quickly, much more than the results are dwindling for. And that's why you see fellows like Duale are very angry and say that, you see, we know where the money is coming from, we know who is supporting. You know, when they are, during the time when the polls were talking about, were talking very high on the winning of Ruto, they do not talk about who these sponsors were. Okay. So in essence, Raila will be in the ballot for sure. He will not be retiring with Uhuru as the president, and he is going to contend as the 5th president. And I see there is a very high possibility for him to win.
Interestingly, let's see how it all plays out, but also keen to note, we don't know who exactly sponsored these polls, but definitely it sort of spices it up even as we get closer to 2022. Agwanda, your final comment, and perhaps let's pin it on a particular meeting that's supposed to happen today. The Deputy President, interestingly, is supposed to chair, as of 9 a.m., a meeting of the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council. Just today, I think the venue is confirmed to be his current residence, official residence, and amongst those invited, Cabinet Secretaries Ukur Yatani, George Bagoha, all the way to Peter Munya, interestingly, who they've had public altercations. Remember the La Mada incident? So there's a lot of speculation on who will attend, who won't, and perhaps add your voice to this, because this is the 15th such ordinary session that has been held and chaired, that is supposed to be chaired by the Deputy President. Considering the state in which the cabinet is right now, it seems split. Well, what say you about this particular meeting?
Jesse, let me make it very clear. A government meeting of such level can only be done by the blessing of the President. if you don't see ministers there, and if you don't see, you know, especially people that are coming from Treasury, headed by the Minister of Finance himself, you don't see key ministers there, then you will know that definitely it did not have the blessing of the president. I don't see this meeting taking root because the deputy president has been an unwanted guest in State House, except few occasions that he's been invited there. And so it is not possible. We know that even the security of the deputy president has been reduced. We also know that even the resources that were supposed to go to his office has been reduced. We also know that even some of his functions were taken away and given to the Minister of Interior, Dr. Matiang'i. And so basically, what I'm saying is if all this have happened in the last few years, it is not possible that you can run the country and make decisions, key critical decisions, in fact, that borders financial decisions at the deputy president's residence. That's not going to happen. It will have to be, you know, at State House or somewhere else, but not at the deputy president's residence. I don't see great results in it. But when we come to issues of you know, Speaker Justin Muturi, I think Speaker Justin Muturi has come out very strongly that he wants to run for president. He should not only be seen to be running for president and trying to repeat what Matiba did during Mwai Kibaki time, when Matiba was out of the country and he was told, you know, Mwai Kibaki is just running, and therefore you need to come back and take your position. He will not be running as a president of Mount Kenya region, but he will be running as a possible candidate for the entire country. And then he needs to start traveling the country and talking to people. He needs to stop thinking that he's now the Speaker of National Assembly and get out there as a candidate and endear to the people. Last but not least, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, or of course Honorable Wetangula will work with anybody who is going to form the government, that I can tell you, and take it to the bank. He will cross over. I can say that if the proponents of Honorable Musalia Mudavadi think that the voting bloc of Western belongs to him, then it's wrong, because there are new players in the field, and Honorable Oparanya is becoming very strong and is supporting Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. He might be surprised that if he goes to the ballot box with Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, he will be considered a traitor, but also a spoiler, just like what happened in 2013. So he needs to be careful whether they want to maintain those voting region or not. But as to Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, I think every aspirant is trying to talk to him. Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga's side, I think he needs to be on their side. Honorable William Samoei Ruto, think he needs to be. He better make a decision right now, because if he doesn't, some of his principals and colleagues in OKA are going to make decisions, and they'll be left in the cold for the next 5 years. Okay,
only time will tell, and I'm sure some of these realignments will definitely be quite clear in January, February next year, even as those holding government positions are set to step down, especially those with intentions to vie in the August 8th elections. Gentlemen, many thanks for your time as we got to deliberate on some of the major stories featuring prominently in today's dailies. So back at home, make sure you grab yourself a copy of the Standard of the Daily Nation to be informed about the latest developments. In studio, I was joined by Professor Mohammed Elmi, governance expert. Thank you so much for your time and contribution. We appreciate it. As well as Michael Agwanda, political and governance analyst. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. Asante sana.
Thank you.
Okay, so allow us to shift focus right now. We want to take a short break, but you're watching Morning Express. The show must go on. Right after the break, we'll definitely update you on more developments happening around the country, even as later on we'll get to talk more about sports in Sports Chat. Stay tuned. You're watching Morning Express.